Since the info about the unexpected success of Final Fantasy Tactics: The Ivalice Chronicles was announced by Square Enix, everyone and their mother started blasting about the Vagrant Story remake. And I would be very happy if that copium tsunami resulted in the actual release of the new version. Especially since we have a quite nice track record with Tactics Ogre Reborn and FFT. Possibility of another remake from Yasumi Matsuno's work is not as much as a fairy tale as it would be before 2022. But one question remains. Should you be excited about that particular remake of a game that's over a quarter of a century old at this point? Vagrant Story is one of those games that has a very dedicated following, but it's not known to the wider audience. It was released in the year 2000, same as Final Fantasy IX and Chrono Cross. Developed by the team responsible for Final Fantasy Tactics, led by Yasumi Matsuno, is one of the Squaresoft's old hits that for some reason is not exactly widely available in the times of Square Enix. A lack of PC release is probably one of the reasons that in current times this game is not highly known, and is a gem for sure. Many people praise the story, soundtrack or character and environmental design, and I would agree with the sentiment. Graphics are, well, over 25 years old at this point, the style and quality are still visible. A new coat of paint would work wonders here. But for me, the main appeal of Vagrant Story lies in the design of its game systems and mechanics. The closest comparison I could think of when it comes to combat was Parasite Eve. It has the similar active action game, but not exactly. Both the player and the enemies can move on the map in real time, but the time freezes when you are in the menu or executing a specific action. I think I've read somewhere that someone called this a turn-based Dark Souls, which is kind of a meme, but not exactly. In Vagrant Story you also can be one-shotted by bosses if you have no idea what to do, and that's the first point I would like to talk about. I really enjoy systems in the game, but I was exposed to them long time ago and have a big nostalgia filter due to that. However, objectively speaking, those would be really annoying for modern gamers, and really should have at least some tuning to the user experience. So let's take a quick look at the basic principle of this convoluted mess. Everything combat related in Vagrant Story circles around three terms: class, affinity and type. Class covers the selection of familiar terms like dragon, elemental or undead, and determines both your defense boost and damage boost against opponent of specific class. So a weapon with high value in undead deals more damage against them, and armor with high value in undead reduces even more damage from undead enemies. This part seems very straightforward and intuitive. It is, however, only the first step. After class comes the affinity. This part of the mechanics touches on various damage types of attacks. We have the physical affinity for basic elements in form of fire, air, water and earth. On top of that we also have light and dark, bumping the total to 7. Of course, this also impacts the damage calculations for both offense and defense. And that brings us to the third layer, type. This time we only have 3 variations: piercing, slashing and blunt. As you may deduce, this is used to determine what kind of damage is dealt to the target, and it's mostly determined by weapon, well, type. Swords tend to deal mostly slashing damage, maces and staves deal blunt tap damage, and daggers, spears and crossbows inflict piercing damage. Some of you may now be asking yourself why for Cthulhu's sake they complicated damage calculations this much? And my answer for that would be because this game has actually some similarities to the titles like Diablo or Path of Exile. Gear acquisition, optimization, upgrading your equipment, and steamrolling bosses offer the most fun in the Vagrant Story. And this complicated mess really allows you to sink into that. You'll want to prepare for boss fights, searching for equipment that is strong against their class, have the positive affinity towards their attacks, and deals or reduces damage of specific type. And the loadout will be very different between the fight with Ice Dragon or Fire Elemental Spirit. So, we have a mix of turn-based Dark Souls with very deep equipment system that leans towards Diablo-style ARPG when it comes to character gear. That means we must add another level of complexity and customization on top of that, right? This comes in form of the most iconic and also my favorite game systems in Vagrant Story: workshops and crafting. With the abundance of enemies, each of them with their individual gear drops and many different modifiers available, it's kind of obvious that the mechanic of combining them to make better gear would also find a place in this style of game. And this thing goes really quite deep. We have different materials that can be combined to create different variation of equipment with varying base stats, ability to reforge one type of weapon into another, combining them together to get an upgraded version, or to downgrade them for specific reasons, such as different combinations of the results. Of course, the values of class and affinity on weapon parts are combined in the process, so you can really go wide and create your favorite overpowered gear, and that fun starts quite early in the game. I really hope that a potential remake will not mess too much with that aspect of the game, but it would be nice to have some sort of compendium so you don't need to scour the internet for a bunch of spreadsheets with all the combinations. On the other hand, magic in the game could use some tune-up. Most of the spells have absurdly high MP costs, so spellcaster build is hard to pull off. Unless you're on a New Game Plus save, but then the amount of power you have basically invalidates the difficulty. But I'm not going to lie and tell you that clearing the whole room of enemies with one cast of level 4 AoE magic is not fun. I wasn't planning on touching the story in my ramblings, but I remembered something. We know from the old interviews that a lot of the game content was cut due to time constraints, and that shows during the gameplay. Close to 20% of the map is locked behind New Game Plus, and it's quite clear that those places are related to abandoned story arcs. It would be nice if those loose ends were tied to the main story, since some of the best encounters are located in the parts of the map, not to mention the gear. And I think I'll end my ramblings here before I spiral into some epic tangent about mechanics of Vagrant Story. I wanted to make this short video showcase for two reasons. The first is the potentially really interesting gameplay that can be delivered to a younger audience that just missed the title altogether due to limitations in its availability. And the second is to point towards the link to the GOG Dreamlist campaign in the description. At the point of writing this script, there's over 10k votes on Vagrant Story, and I hope that the number goes up even more, so the GOG devs will try to figure out how to port this game to modern PCs. Other than that, I finally managed to finish one of my goals from the original playthrough of Vagrant Story that was 25 years ago, and wanted to fangirl a little bit about the title. If you also have some good memories from eons past about this one, drop a comment below in the video, so I'm not the only one who feels old. And see ya in the next one.